We're talking with the guys here, Kyle Carlisle and Ralph Price, who wrote the book Don't Blink, and you can check it out and see it all at don'tblinkbook.com. They're sponsoring the show today. Fantastic gentlemen, and we're talking about timely things right now, about the debt, the deficit, the state of this country. These young men are high school juniors, 16 years old, and they went out and they did this great book right here, and we want to talk about it. And you guys were talking about, you personally experienced, the housing bubble and how it affected you guys and your family, and maybe, being faced with some foreclosure situations there. Keep talking about that and what the genesis of getting you into doing this book.
Well, all right. After the housing market pretty much crashed, that's when we knew that some of the things were going wrong. And after quite a bit of research, we figured out a lot of the corrupt dealings that they did, their investments in derivatives, their introduction to subprime mortgages, and all that kind of stuff. So,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we went under, whenever the house went under, and we had to move and get out of our house, it was kind of a wake-up call to me. It was like, this is affecting us directly.
Oh, yeah.
And we're the hard Americans that they're talking about that are being affected directly. And I'll
just stop you for a second. There's so many people in America, and unfortunately, especially, people, the kids, and people under 30 even, that, they're into the Britney Spears. They want their hot new car. They want to go to the football game. They don't care about this type of stuff, or Lady Gaga, whatever it is today or tomorrow, it's Bieber, anybody. And we like Bieber. He's pretty funny. But the thing of it is like you said, this hit home. You saw, wait a minute, all this taxes and regulation and government stuff, that's affecting me and my family now. So it's like, wow, you know what? What I love about this is they did the American thing, which is say, you know what? I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to step up. I'm going to do something about it. And I'm going to write this book here, Don't Blink. And on the back, we've got, this beautiful imagery of the founders. They're doing their thing, whatever. We got the quote by Thomas Jefferson. And this is $17.99. Well, let's talk about that very quickly before we get into more of it. How do you get this book? How much does it cost? All that type of stuff.
Okay, well, you can get this book at don'tblinkbook.com. And the back of the book says $17.99, but right now you can get it for $11.99, $13 after tax.
Christmas special.
Exactly, $11.99. And
Can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't beat the price at all. When we wrote the book, like I was saying, it was hitting home. It was pretty much, I was tired of being at the school and, talking about politics with my friend Ralph, and people saying, stop talking about that. We don't want to hear about it.
See, you're breaking through the noise, and you're telling me you need to pay attention and see what's up. So when I read this book, what am I going to get out of it? Like, what am I going to learn here?
Okay, well, I think the number one thing that you're going to learn is that the America that people think they live in is not the America at all that they live in. They're living in the ideal America, which is what it should be, but it's been so corrupted and hijacked by politicians out for personal gain and politicians who look to gain things economically, that it's not the same America that you and I think of as America.
Okay, so we're educating people right now. We're arming them with some information and some facts and some statistics. Let's bring in Paul real quick here. And, PFV here. Hey, Paul, what do you have to say to these guys? And we're going to go through some of the issues, and I want us all to react to it.
Well, what I have to say to Ralph and Kyle is thank you, because, they're stepping up and giving, not only are they showing entrepreneurial spirit by producing this book while they're just, in high school, they're also setting an example for other young people and for all Americans that it is important to be involved. It is important to be informed, because there are things going on in this country that most people don't know about.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Hey, bring us up to speed real quick with some of the news about what happened this week with this Obama situation and the tax omnibus compromise bill that they snuck through.
Yeah, you were talking about this earlier. The omnibus spending bill, I believe, there's an extension that's going on right now, but to keep the government running, that extension.
Continuing resolution, the CR.
Yes, but I don't think the omnibus bill itself has been passed yet. Now, the tax compromise bill was passed, was signed by Barack Obama, and that would basically give, quote-unquote, the rich about $160 billion in tax cuts. But many people are characterizing it as a stimulus bill, like Stimulus 2, because there's something like $700 billion that's just for, infrastructure and this type of thing.
But wait a minute, let me ask you a question, because I got to ask, I'm usually, you know me, I'm usually up on everything. But the thing is, this week happened so fast, that so many other things going on, and they kept trying to, do what in my personal opinion, 3-card money up there on Capitol Hill and changing the game and every 2 seconds. So we got the Bush tax cuts are going to remain in effect for another 2 years. Yes, Paul?
That's right.
Okay. Now, but didn't they also attach, the unemployment extension? Do we got another 13 weeks of that too?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So what about all the other stuff, the earmarks and all that the $1 trillion of spending? What happened with all that?
The spending is going through. The spending was
see?
attached to the tax cut bill.
That's what I'm saying.
The omnibus bill, which is separate to keep the government running, has not passed yet. That's what has gotten the continuing resolution, I believe.
Okay, so they don't have basically a budget for the government, but they did pass this quote-unquote, and that's what I'm talking about. The stimulus situation with the tax cuts, that's cool. I'm down with that, but we still have to pay for it by cutting spending. We haven't addressed that, and that's what you guys are talking about in the book, Don't Blink. But, with the unemployment benefits, look, I feel for people, there's no doubt about it, but how many weeks? They have 99 weeks of unemployment benefits so far.
2 months.
Yeah. It's out of control, and it's like if you own your own business, you can't get those. If I understand that correctly, there's all kinds of the stimulus. We don't need another TARP. We don't need another bailout, and we don't need more stimulus. In my personal opinion, what we need to do is get private. I tell you what, if you lower taxes, you lower regulation, you start slashing spending so that the dollar has gained some strength and interest rates stay low, and you're going to start unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit around the country. We have so many people like these young men here that wrote this book, Don't Blink. You can check it out at don'tblink.com, $11.99. That want to do something creative, that are waiting to be unleashed, and they can't do it because the government's standing in the way. So let's talk about some of these issues right here, Paul, and I want your reaction on this too. So they've got some issues that are covered in this book, right? You talked about the housing crisis. You also go through unemployment. What do you say about that?
Okay, well, what it comes down to is, the unemployment numbers that the government gives out are cooked. It's, you got to talk about real unemployment, which is structural unemployment, different types of unemployment. Things such as, let's say, a real estate broker who he has technically hired as a job, but he doesn't make any money unless he sells a house.
Right.
And the government considers him employed when he's bringing in zero income.
What? And so that does what? He has to pay some taxes, licensing fees, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what it means is, that 9.6 number or whatever it is now, the government number is completely, wrong. When you include the
I see.
When you include people who are underemployed and people who, people who have jobs but aren't making any money,
the real unemployment number,
it's about 20+%.
And it's so bad here in the Central Valley that's been just punked out by them shutting down the water and doing all this other type of stuff. Let's talk about ground zero right here. How bad is it in the Central Valley?
Well, it's probably the worst, and one of the worst areas in probably the United States is the Central Valley, because they got hit hard, because California especially was hit with a housing boom, which most of the jobs came from construction and things like that. The Central Valley specifically, you don't got to look any more than go anywhere from Crossroads to Stockton to see all the foreclosures everywhere.
It's pretty bad. Now, when you go over healthcare, the wars, foreign wars in the Middle East and foreign policy, you talk about gun control, debt, political scandals, all this type of stuff. And the bottom line to all these things, what I'm seeing here, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, you tell me what's in the book here and what you're trying to talk about. But it sounds like you guys are saying that this government's a little out of control, and it's spending way too much money. And what we need to do is put money and power back in the hands of people. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your policy right now, should we, let's just say, Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? Should we be there or should we get out of there and save the cash?
Well, I say, we've been in Afghanistan for about what? How long have we been in Afghanistan? About
a decade.
Yeah,
about a decade. And what have we accomplished? Seriously.
I don't think we should. I think hitting them. I've said this before, and I have a lot of friends that are, Afghani, and one even I guess is some kind of relation to Karzai. I never knew that. I found that out a couple days ago. But anyway, very very nice lady, by the way. It's like you do what you need to do. You hit the terrorists if they're there. You hit the bases if they're there. You work with the local governments as best you can, and you get out of there. You let those people do their own thing, man.
But of course, there's some special interest going in there because you got a lot of these military contractors. They're lobbying the government. You got military contractors like Raytheon, like Lockheed, Halliburton.
Wow, you guys are all about. See, I knew we're gonna. But I'll say this: all the people that say, "Oh, well, we went to Iraq for oil." Hey, where's the oil? Please, I'd love to see some of it. How about just selling some oil just to pay for all the rebuilding that we're doing in Iraq and stuff like that? I mean, listen, it's great that America is very charitable and wants to, help folks out, and we need that in national security, and I'm down with all of that. You know what I mean? But the thing of it is we can't pay for everything for everybody. That's just the bottom line, right? I mean, we got, I'm not with the Pat Buchanan crowd who say, hey, or even the Ron Paul crowd. I know you guys like Ron Paul, but, we can't be anywhere. No, we need to be some places, but we need to scale it way back. That's what I believe. I want to get into some more issues, right? And I want to talk about what people are going to learn about in this book. But right now, before we go to this break and we get into those specific issues and get Paul, firing some questions at you too and get the roundtable going here and talk, about some current stuff, I want to remind people that you can go to don'tblinkbook.com. You can check this out right now, learn more about Ralph and Kyler, why they wrote the book, what the deal is, what the book's going to do for you. You can order it right now. Christmas special, $11.99 plus shipping. Unbelievable price. I love it. I like, these are smart young men right here, and they got involved, and this is what we need in the country. It doesn't mean that you guys may have all the answers at 16, although you seem very smart to me, but it means that, we need people to talk, and we need people to educate themselves and get off the couch and quit looking to Uncle Sam or someone else to do it for you, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. What made America America was people getting up and going on doing what they're supposed to.
I love it. We're going to talk about all that and more on the back end of this break. You're listening to the John D. Villarreal Radio Show on the conservative New Media Radio Network.